Hi everyone, okay, let's get started. We live in an unbelievable time in human history. Imagine if every time you wanted to eat a vegetable, you had to go outside to your backyard, to your field, to your farm. You had to actually plant seeds. You would have to plow the ground first, plant the seeds, water them, wait for it to rain. You would have to harvest them. It would be months before you can eat a vegetable, before you can eat corn, before you can eat potatoes. If you want an orange, if you want other fruit, you would have to actually work for your food. You would have to, if you wanted clothing, you would have to actually shear the sheep, put the clothing together, spin the wool. You would have to spend a tremendous amount of effort for every item you wanted to consume. In the world we live in today, it's really unbelievable. Anything that we want, anything that we need, within 24 hours, by a click of a button on your computer, it's outside your door. And that's unbelievable. It's really, really incredible that we live in a world where we can have anything we need with such ease. And it's true with mitzvos as well. If you need to make, if you want to eat matzah for Pesach, you don't need to go grow your own wheat and make your own matzah. You can actually go to the store and buy your matzah. If you want to build a sukkah, you don't have to start using raw supplies, although some people do. You can actually go to the store and buy a sukkah. You don't need to go to the fields to get your own lulav. You can actually go buy one from one or have one delivered to your house. And that's true with Chanukah candles as well. Chanukah, you can go to the store, you can buy candles, you can even buy pre-made sets of oil and wicks already put together, and it's unbelievable. And actually, there's certain things that we get for Chanukah actually help the Chanukah. It helps our mitzvah. It makes it look much nicer. But the Gemara tells us, Chazal tell us that a person would prefer one kav of his own items than 9 of someone else. I would prefer one kav of my produce than 9 of someone else's. Right? 1 potato of mine to 9 of someone else's potatoes. 1 orange of mine that I worked for, the 9 of someone else's. Because when you work for something, it becomes part of you. When you work for something, you appreciate it more. You understand it more. You have more of a connection to it. And that's true with mitzvos as well. As much as mitzvos are beautified by these pre-made items that we have, and they're more accessible because of the technology we have nowadays. Imagine if when Chanukah came, you actually lit oil that you got from the olives. Imagine if you used your own wick. So that's what we're going to try and do over the next few minutes. Now, we're not going to have enough oil for you to use for all of Chanukah. Probably we won't even have enough oil for you to use for 1 cup on one night. But maybe you can get 1 drop. Maybe you can get 1 drop of oil to use on Chanukah. Whether you light oil or whether you light candles, you can add the little drop of oil to your candles. Maybe you can make wicks for Chanukah for you to use either for one night for the whole thing. But no matter how much you make, hopefully you'll get an understanding of how it's done. Hopefully you'll get a greater appreciation of the mitzvah, and hopefully you'll feel more connected to it. When Chanukah comes and you start lighting your Chanukah candles, you'll feel a more personal connection. I understand this better, and this is more part of me than it has been in the past. And Bezrat Hashem, if we continue to develop our relationship to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and we continue to develop our relationship to Torah and mitzvos, we can return to Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, build the Beis HaMikdash, and light the Chanukah candles in Yerushalayim, light the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash, Vitara. So let's turn over now to Rabbi Chaim Metzger from the Zichron Dov Beit Midrash, and he's going to walk us through the process. How do we actually do this?
Hi, my name is Chaim Metzger. I'm a member of Beit Midrash Zichron Dov, and I'm going to be explaining to you a little bit about how they used to make the oil that we used for lighting the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. So Chanukah is coming up, and we celebrate the miracle that the oil lasted for 8 days. But we often forget, what exactly was that oil, and how did they make it, and why did it take so long to get some more of it? So for that, I would like to explain a little bit about the process by which they used to make the olive oil in the Beit HaMikdash. So in order to make the olive oil for the Beit HaMikdash, you had to use the choicest olives that you could find. Not only that, you had to use only the first drops that would come out. And in case you're wondering what are the first drops, so that's what I would like to show everybody today. So in order to get the first drops, you would take all of your olives and you would place them in a large container and you would start crushing them, right? As seen here in the diagram. You start smashing them. And then when you smash this, a little bit of oil would come out, and that little bit is called shemen zayit zach, the purest of oil. That is what you're allowed to use to light the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. But that's not all we use olive oil for in the Beit HaMikdash. It was also used in a slew of other korbanot, as well as for other purposes as well. So now let's talk about the rest of the process. So after you had this, and you then placed it in a basket and waited for the shemen zayit zach to come out, there's still more to be done because that's only a fraction of the oil you can get out of olives. So afterwards, what would we do? We would take our olive oil, we would put it into a crusher. So there's a couple different types of crushers that you would use. So one is the rolling crusher pictured here, where somebody would take the handle, and after all the olives we'd crushed before, we placed them in the base over there, as you can see, and then you would go around and crush it some more, and then some more oil would also come out this way. And there we have our nice Jewish worker toiling away, crushing the olives. This was the secondary stage. The olive oil from here was not the preferred olive oil for the menorah, but this was still kosher to be used for bringing as part of a korban mincha, being the oil brought along with the flour korban that used to bring Beit HaMikdash, and it too is important. So, but as you can probably tell, just by doing that, that wouldn't quite get all of the oil out. There's still more to be gained. So another way you can get more out is by doing a more intense press using weights. So as you see here, you'd use your mechanical advantage here, kind of how you have on a seesaw, to crush the piles, as you can see here located in green. They're called in Hebrew akal, right? These baskets of the olive mush we had from before, we take them and we crush them again, and we leave this for a couple days, and it would slowly drip more out. So this olive oil wasn't as pure, but again, it still had its uses. And in case you're wondering what it looks like, so here's a picture from Caesarea, where they, sorry, not Caesarea, but from Katzrin, where they show the way they used to be done. You see the basket of the olives, you see the nice giant lever, you see the weights, and they would leave this there for a while until it all came out. But there's also another more complicated one that they had as well, where we instead of just losing weight, we use the pressure from using a screw to crush it even further. Again, to get even more oil out of the pits and the leftover flesh of the olive. And lastly, there's a combination where they had both using the weight as well as using the screw, and that's the one depicted here, where they would crush it even more. So our goal, what we're going to do today, we're going to be doing the first one. We are going to be showing how you crush the individual olives.
In case anybody was curious about how they used to crush the olives in the Beit HaMikdash, so we're going to show a demonstration, a small one, about how they used to do it back then. So what we do is you take something to smash them with. We're using a straight piece of wood because we don't want it to be able to become ritually impure. So what you do is you take, because once it becomes impure, you can't finish the process and it's no longer good for the Beit HaMikdash. So what you would do is make sure that you yourself are pure and that all the items are ritually pure at the moment, and then you would start smashing, right? Pretty straightforward. Basically, you just smash as hard as you can. It might take a while, but basically, you just keep working at it, smashing. And you'll notice as you keep smashing that there's a little bit that's juice that's squirting out. This little bit of juice is this first amount. This is the shemen zayit zach. This little amount is what is the preferable oil to use for the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. You'll probably notice we get only very little out of it. So unfortunately, as I'm still smashing this, so you'll notice that we haven't quite gotten we don't have a giant puddle of oil yet, right? We have a little bit of juice coming right out. Some of it looks like it might be water, some it might be oil. So what we're going to have to do in order to make sure that we can truly see whether there's oil or not. Again, so you're going to keep smashing for as long as you can, get it smushed nice and well, as much as you can. Is what we're going to do after we've done the initial crushing, right? So we're also trying to crush the seed too, because there's plenty of juice in the seed, plenty of juicy oil in the seed as well. Again, put your back into it, right? Just keep smashing. Okay, and then once you've smashed it sufficiently, or when you give up, right? So what you should do is you take a little bit of water, then you put a little bit of water in. Right, so this will help separate out the oil from whatever else may have been in it. And then we're going to have to pause and wait a while for the oil to be ready. Now that everybody has been smashing all of their olives, you'll hopefully notice that on the bottom of your smasher, right, you'll notice again after you did the kitouche, the crushing of the olives, you'll notice that there's a sheen of oil on top of here. Hopefully, if you smashed enough olives, you will now find that there's actually a little bit of puddle of oil inside of yours. But if it did not happen and you did not smash enough olives for there to be an actual puddle of oil, then you probably would have added some water and then waited for it to separate. You'll notice you'll see on the top there's a little thin sheen on top there. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the syringe that you have, and you're going to note where right at the very top, and you're going to pull out the plunger and pull in the very little bit of oil from the very top, and then you will hopefully see. You'll hopefully be able to see the oil. Yeah, it may take a while for yours to separate. So if you have, you may have to wait till the morning. Or at the very least an hour or so until it fully separates, because oil and water eventually will separate, and then you will have your oil. So how did they used to make the wicks that were used in the Beit HaMikdash? So there's debate whether they used cotton or if they used flax and linen for the wicks. So we're going to go with the opinion that like that of the Bavli, most of the Rishonim, that it is you're allowed to make the wicks both for Beit HaMikdash and for now out of cotton. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing you have to do is you have to, again, we have the raw cotton balls. So we have to stretch it out so it gets nice and thin like this, right? So then once it's nice and thin, now we're going to have to work on turning it actually into the threads. So what we're going to do is we're going to slowly twist it, right? Nice and tight. Depending on how long you will be able to, depending on how much you want to do so. And then as we twist it nice and tight, it'll turn into a single thread. And if you do it nice and thin, you actually can do it again to get an even thicker wick. Again, so if you twist it once, you can then twist it again. Again, how tight you want your wick to be is up to you. And depending on the tightness will be the thickness or the narrowness, as well as the rate of consumption of the oil. In the Beit HaMikdash, they have two different types of wick, depending on the length of the evening. If it was in the winter with whether it be the winter or the summer, again, as the nights and the days change the amount of time, they would also change the amount of oil they would need to put in. So now we will have our wick again. So I'll show you one more time. Again, so you get it nice and thin, and then after it's nice and thin, you then twist it. And hopefully you can see this. And then once you twist it, again, you twist it once. You think this is sufficient. If you'd like it to be a little bit thicker for a little bit stronger flame, you can also do the other option. You can take two of them, twist them. Then when you twist them nice and tight, you can even put two of them together, twist them together to get a nice wick as well. Again, no matter how you do it, it'll end up working out just fine. I'd be recommended to do a little trial and error to see which one works best, which ones stay together, don't stay together, depending on how good you are at twisting.